Hi everyone. I had the privilege of finishing a total of 40 books in 2025, not counting manga volumes. I've acquired a great interest in cultivating my own personal book collection, but just as often take advantage of the local library, which I'm very fortunate to live close to. It's great to be able to order and check out many thousands of books on a whim, and also purchase books for absurdly cheap at the shop. Consider taking time to visit your local library if it's been a while. Anyways, here are my top 10 favorite books. If you would like further details on any specific title, the individual video devoted to it is on the channel. Here we go. Number 10, The Iliad. The oldest book in the Western canon, the Iliad is tough to approach outside of its ancient Greek context, but is worth putting in the work to understand. View a few summaries beforehand, and maybe write down the most important events on each page that you read, and enjoy the surprising insight into the human psyche from nearly 3,000 years ago, and the wild intrigues amongst the Greek gods. Number 9, Dark Brilliance. This was a very smooth and entertaining look at the most important figures and minds of Europe's 17th and 18th century Enlightenment era. I'm not particularly into paintings, but was still highly impressed by the biographies of artists such as Caravaggio. Number 8, Capitalism and Its Critics. This was a great look at the evolution of capitalism from the early industrial age all the way to today's possible transition towards an AI-centered economy. Some of the biographies may be too obscure, irrelevant, or technical for casual readers, but I think everyone will love certain parts of the book. Number 7, The Red and the Blue. This was an excellent book about 1990s American politics. As an elder millennial in my early 40s, I loved all the explanations of events I vaguely remember hearing about while growing up, but didn't have the knowledge or maturity to quite comprehend at the time. It excellently details the rises of Bill Clinton, Newt Gingrich, and Ross Perot. It was also fascinating to read how Rush Limbaugh, Pat Buchanan, and even Donald Trump himself foreshadowed the political extremism of the last decade. Number 6, Iron Curtain, The Crushing of Eastern Europe, 1944 through 1956. This details the Soviet takeover of Eastern Europe after World War II, focusing on Poland, Eastern Germany, and Hungary in particular. This was very information-dense, but also contained enough amusing anecdotes to keep things lively. After such an oppressive and bleak rule under Stalin, it was very satisfying to read of the oppressed countries beginning to rebel after his death. Number 5, SPQR. A History of Ancient Rome. This is a tremendous work covering the origins of Rome, when the infant brothers Romulus and Remus were supposedly nursed by a wolf, all the way to its vast expansion and gradual decline around 1200 years later. Along with my fourth and first pick, I could easily see myself reading this again. Number 4, The Rise and Fall of the Great Powers. This was a tremendous journey through 500 years of mostly European history. This book covers a ton and gets very academic and dense at times, but I absolutely loved reading how the countries evolved and competed with each other as the Renaissance, Age of Enlightenment, Industrial Age, and World Wars brought huge changes to the landscape. Number 3, 1776. Fantastic storytelling of America's first and one of its most significant years, and the battles that took place against England. At one point near the end of the book, I got so excited that I had to put it down and jump around the room. I've been a big Dragon Ball Z fan since the late 90s, and when George Washington crosses the Delaware and heads to the Battle of Trenton, he basically goes Super Saiyan. Number 2, Medical Apartheid. This was a depressing, shocking, but extremely important read. The injustices against African Americans from slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights, all the way to modern times are well documented. This book explores the far lesser known but outrageous medical experimentation conducted on Black Americans without their consent. The entire field of gynecology being discovered by experimenting on slaves. decades of autopsies being conducted on illegally exhumed black corpses, and even misleading coercive drug experimentation being conducted on black children as recently as the 1990s. This is an essential read if you're concerned about injustice. And number 1, The Odyssey. What a thrilling story. This was shockingly easy to understand for such an old book. The many adventures of Odysseus on his return home from the Trojan War are amazingly told. What I loved most was the inevitability that Odysseus would arrive home and be able to avenge the wrongdoings being done against his wife and son, as the majority of the gods were literally adventuring home with him. I know a lot of people are excited about the upcoming 2026 movie, but don't be intimidated to read this book right now. This is classic literature, not only for its storytelling, but excellent accessibility as well. All these books were an amazing experience of learning and adventure. My biggest regret was allowing myself to waste too much time being distracted by political and world events and all the reactions to them, amongst other general nonsense on YouTube, Reddit, and social media, which robbed me of time and energy to get in even more quality reading. In 2026, I intend to manage myself better. If you made it this far, I would love to hear what some of your favorite books of the year were, and perhaps I'll read them in 2026. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll be back again soon with more. Bye.